Welcome back. Okay, we're going to go over High Frontier for the ZX Spectrum, so let's have a play. Okay, so let's go over the screens quickly. This is the President. So if he asks you a question, that icon will be highlighted, and usually he asks you, what capability do we have of destroying all of the Soviets' warheads, that kind of thing. He'll be annoying for a while, but you must never ignore the President, because there are certain perks that come to answering his banal questions. This is a map of the world, which is also the advanced gameplay button as well. You'll see that there's satellites all above just tracking our actions. They're just there for show. But if you look at the top left, that's the USA, and on the right is the Soviet Union. Okay, so if you want to go over the icons, going from top left downwards, on the right hand side are the 6 different components of your SDI that you can build up. You cannot afford to use all of them, so you just pick which ones you like and go from there. This shield icon is basically your orbit screen. Now we're not doing manual control, but that is to arm the system. We'll figure that out later on, and that is to launch satellites when you've performed enough research and development. Okay, so research and development, you say? Well, here it is. All 6 satellites, they need money, they need manpower. So there's the money, and the white bits are the manpower. Okay, so I'm looking very interested in having a laser because it's cheap and cheerful. As you can see, the lines are the minimum amount of money or manpower to keep going. If you don't keep up your repayments, then the project will be retarded in some way. Okay, I like those X-ray lasers, but they're also in the space plane, so let's bang some in there. And that automated missile thing, that looked pretty cool, so I'm going to put some money in there as well. I'm sure we've got a little bit of money, so we'll put it in the ground system as well. The ground system is your last line of defense. It is really terrible at destroying things, but it is your last line of defense. I've just gone into the reconnaissance screen. So 3 camera symbols, and you have 9 units, 9 spies available. Now if you look through the little lines, we'll find out that what we have is, if you put any resources in there, it gives you an idea as to how many Soviet warheads, how many Soviet missiles and how many Soviet submarine missiles they have available. If you go into that one, it will give you an idea how many Soviet warheads are required. This is very useful for answering the President's question correctly. And on the right is the Soviets' capability of destroying your satellites. When you get numbers on there, it'll tell you how many satellites will be destroyed by the Soviets, should you put any of them up there, and that should dictate your choice in the future. Well, dictate your choice throughout gameplay. Okay, so the best idea would be, well, why don't you just even it out? 3, 3, 3. Well, that won't work because you won't get any information at all. That's poor. Oh, on normal and hard settings, the Soviets will try to perform counter-espionage, and they will give you dodgy data. And on the far right is the threat screen. It tells you what's going on in the world at the moment. At the moment, it's all quiet. You've got a symbol at the top, or a little dial on the top. On the left, it's nuclear war. On the right, it's all-out peace. Never expect all-out peace. Just be happy when it's when that dial, the yellow bit, is in the middle. So let's keep playing. Okay, so we got a little bit more money, so we'll just... Okay, so our systems have got crosses on them, which means that progress has started, but it's nowhere near finished. If it's got a tick, it means that progress is almost there and almost ready. So let's put some manpower on here. Let's just sort out the manpower. You'll see that the Soviets are now deploying. The Soviets have about 2,000, it's somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500 warheads. The more spies you put in, the more accurate your information. Threat levels increased. The Soviets have they're performing a war game quite close to NATO territory, but they haven't invaded it. They're just playing war games. You'll notice that we now have some pink manpower. Well, pretend that pink is red for the moment. The white manpower are those from the government and related organisations that you forcibly put in there. Red ones are free agents, so commercial interests or just interested scientists who follow the money. Yes, they just follow where the money is. A bit like most PhD supervisors. The Soviets are gone all quiet again, so everything's good. Keep building your defences. About 2,250 warheads. Oh, now that I've got that number, the President's interested. How many Soviet warheads will the system destroy? Well, nothing's in orbit yet, so it's nothing. Soviets increasing their naval output. There we go, the shield icon's highlighted. So, which one? Nope. Nope. Nope, that's got a tick. Nope, nope, nope. Okay, it's your ground-based system. So you highlight the rocket symbol, and that now means that whenever you hit the world icon, so long you've got enough money and manpower, then you're going to be putting satellites up. Now this is a ground-based system, so it's not satellites, it's actually percentage. So imagine that out of 100. Not that that's particularly important, but your ground-based system is 10% complete. Now you have something to defend you against Soviet missiles, of which there are how many? Well, there are about 1,200 missiles. Not that that's particularly important. You just want to build up defences. Right, how many? A teeny amount. Now, I'm being horribly vague regarding all the tactics and the background theory of this, but I think it's really because if you're that interested, well, you can go to the websites, you can look up High Frontier on Google, and you can find out. Okay, so let's get that going. So the ZX Spectrum version is very stodgy in its controls. You have to hold for something that's probably controlled by the keyboard, which is a rubber keyboard and not a particularly good tactile experience. You have to bloody jam it sometimes just to get things going. And sometimes you get in the R&D screen, sometimes you put things in the wrong places because you pressed left and it didn't bother moving. How can you figure out the number? Okay, we know that there's 2,500 missiles, so let's look here. If you look at the center part of that console, you've got the capability of destroying one missile, or the laser thing can destroy one missile and 44 warheads for each one. So if we go over the maths, that can destroy 3 times 90 missiles and 10 times 90 warheads. So that's 900 warheads. Those are the things I'm worried about, the warheads. And that can destroy about 10 per percentage point, probably. If you play on normal and hard mode, well, those are very, very approximate values and you shouldn't take them too seriously. Now, why do you want to answer these questions? Well, the president controls the purse strings, so if you keep telling him 0%, he'll just give you less money, because why bother putting money into a project that's giving no results? And if you say 100% a lot of the time, then he'll think, well, okay then, I don't need to spend so much money now building up my defences. I only need money to maintain them, so he'll give you less money. So you have to play the president. Treat him lean, keep him keen. The graphics are rather simplistic, as you can see. At least it's not completely text-based. And the numbers are relatively easy to figure out once you've read the manual. If you're interested in the Cold War, this is a nice little simplistic Cold War game. You get to try different combinations. You get to have little experiments. Oh, would I be able to defeat a barrage of missiles using this combination of satellites or this combination of satellites? It's a good idea, just because. The Soviet army is now on the NATO border. This is a huge provocation, and the president has decided to call you. Oh, would you look at that? Due to the increasing Soviet threat, extra funds are given to you. I have indeed. I've got some extra money. That's good. Well, let's start using this extra money then. Don't spend it all at once. Pop, 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 pop. Oh dear, that was a bad idea. Okay, next. Soviet units on full alert. If you look at the dial, we're about 2 steps away from war. Oh dear. Another reason why you do not ignore the president. Due to the present grave crisis, please open your code box. This is to arm the system. You'll figure out why these codes are important in a little moment. Just for now, just remember the code GG8. Okay, we have now reached a very specific point. On easy mode, you get given a warning that this will happen. It being now the Soviet attack on NATO. You have been given a preemptive warning. This is it. Major Soviet attack underway, NATO at war, arm the system. This means that in the next turn, when you hit that icon, nuclear war will start. On normal and hard mode, you won't know this. You won't be given any warning. You might do, but it's very likely you won't. So let's just arm the system. So let's go to each one. Just one thing, if the president thinks that the situation is unwinnable for the United States, the president's telephone will turn into a rocket or a missile, whether you've got the Commodore 64 version, the Spectrum version or the Amstrad version, that will transform into something. If you go to it and then press fire, then the USA will release their nuclear missiles. And then you find out who is the real winner. Now, if you want to win properly, you should be able to destroy all of their missiles without using any of yours. That's if you've done a really good job. Let's see how it goes.